Start.
Recording in progress.
We are live now, Aditya.
Okay, perfect. Let's give it 30 more seconds for everyone to join. Okay, I think let's get started. Hey everyone, good evening. I am Aditya Dhavla. I lead the voice agents product charter here at Sarvam. I've been here for the last 1 year, and we have seen a huge amount of growth in our voice agents product in the last couple of years, and we have launched something very recently. And through this webinar, I think we'll try to walk you through our journey, what we have built out, and maybe even do a live walkthrough of our product. So let's get started. So I'll start with how the voice agent story at Sarvam started, right? And we started way back in 2023 when this category did not even exist in the market. We had just entered voice agents, and we had strung a pipeline together. And LLMs were extremely unreliable, and we had an extremely thick harness layer to make it work in the way that we expected it to. 2024 is when we started becoming slightly bigger. We realized that voice agents is more about a platform rather than a pipeline. We won our first few early enterprise customers in 2024. And 2025 is the year that we actually saw a huge amount of scale. So 2025 and early 2026, right? We became the largest voice AI story in India. We grew by more than 15x in the last year, and our platform actually became very mature, and we had a huge number of learnings that we have gotten from working with very large enterprises, right? And because of that, now we realize that it has always been one of our missions that we distribute AI to the entire country, right? And because we have been working with enterprises and we've had a lot of learnings, we decided to launch this product out publicly. And as of 2 to 3 weeks back, when we had Epoch, we have launched this product out generally available, right? And this is the same product that enterprises also use for their production grade workflows, which means that you get the reliability, compliance, security, etc. That we do for enterprises. Since the last year, in the last 1 year, we have done 350 million minutes plus spoken in production entirely by AI. This is not NLP bots. This is not including humans. This is entirely by AI, which converts to 665 years of talk time. And we've had a huge number of enterprise wins. We work with the largest companies in India, the largest banks in India, and large enterprises trust us with the production workloads which are extremely sensitive to them. We aim to convert this trust into something for everyone right now. I will also cover the kind of learnings that we've had from enterprises. We've had to deal with a huge amount of scale, right? We run a 10,000 person contact center out of a small office in Indranagar, right? And we do this without losing any latency, without losing any quality. We also have huge amount of security and guardrails which we have baked into the product. As I said, like we have been running this product for enterprises at scale and with a huge amount of regulations and in very regulated industry as well. So we actually follow the highest grades of compliance, data residency, and production grade practices, right? And finally, we've also realized that to actually go and deploy a voice agent into production, you need a bunch of integrations where your workflow actually sits, right? Which means integrations with telephony, integrations with systems of record, and we have taken these and we have tried to make this very, very easy for everyone to be able to use. So I'll cover the agenda for today. The agenda for today is so first we'll actually go a little bit deeper. We'll spend maybe 5 minutes into how our platform is architected, what makes us a little bit different, what our models actually do, right? Specifically the harness around the models. I think everyone's fairly acquainted with a few of our models, but we'll talk a little bit more about the harness as well. We'll also actually go and use the product and do a live build with a voice agent. So would love if everyone on the call can actually work with me and actually go to the platform and start to try to build an agent. Then I'll cover, if we have time, a little bit of time, we'll cover the agent development lifecycle and how you should take things into production for voice agents. And finally, we'll take Q&A at the end, where there's also a small surprise for everyone who's attending this call on webinar. Right. So please do stick around. Okay. So I'll start by first covering architecture, models, harness, right? So again, I think once we think of a voice agent, anyone who's working in this space for a while know that the building blocks of a voice agent is like 3 models, right? There's listening, there's thinking, there's speaking, and each of these jobs are performed by very specific model. Like there's a ASR model, there's an LLM model, and there's a TTS model, and there's a turn around which we orchestrate this and we put this on our telephony, right? This is a basic understanding of what a voice agent is. As I said earlier, I think we have realized that it is not just that, right? It's a whole lot more, right? So there's what we would traditionally call a harness is this, right? But there's so much around the harness that we need to build, right? So there is, and the way that we view it is, hey, there is the harness layer, but around this we have, 3 big blocks, right? One is around building a voice agent really well, and making it easy for an end user to make it very, easy for them to build a voice agent, right? And build not just a really good voice agent, but keep on improving on it as well, as and when you keep on seeing some things in production, right? Second thing is deploy. We take this voice agent, we put it into systems of record, we put it with a bunch of integrations, we put it into telephony, we put it probably on a website. So essentially anything around taking this voice agent once it is built and putting it in a production sensitive workflow is where the entire charter of deploy comes. And then we have monitor, which is us looking at a bunch of production calls, being able to do a QC around them and figuring out what exactly to improve. Right. So this is the you will see this thematic thing actually repeat across the product as well, as in when we go and do the demo. And we'll see how that pans out as well. But the point and the message here is that a voice agent platform or a voice agent today is a lot more and not just wiring 3 models together. And inside the harness also, there's a lot of things that we have taken opinionated calls on, which actually makes us different from a bunch of voice agents platforms out there. One thing is, as a simplifying call, right? There are a bunch of emergent benefits which come from someone being able to author a voice agent very easily. As a simplifying call, we have said ki, hey, there is only going to be single state agents, will not have extremely complex conversation workflows, etc. And we'll make the LLM really good at following the instructions which are written inside a single state agent or a prompt, which means that you will be able to figure out where exactly things are going wrong very easily. The UX becomes extremely easy, right? And then you can just scroll through a prompt like you're scrolling through a document, and you'll find what exactly you need to change, right? That's one of our philosophies. Second philosophy, and this is what our harness and models are also trained for, is that we have indic in, indic out, which means that the LLM actually reasons in indic, it understands indic, which means that if I'm speaking in Hindi, right, the text actually goes to the LLM in Hindi. Then the text from the LLM comes out in code mixed Hindi, and that goes to the TTS, right? And how this all works together essentially is that we get how we get emergent benefits out of it is we get much better accuracies when Saras is outputting in Indic, right? We get much better understanding of the language from the LLM because it is outputting in Indic, and Bulbul understands code mixed language and is able to produce text to speech really well on code mixed inputs as well, which makes this pipeline extremely natural in Indic languages, right? Then again, very simplifying calls, we follow very standard forms of architecture and the latest forms of standards which are being followed in the industry. I think our principle is that we have to keep on, models will keep on improving, right? Which means that the shape of how things should look and the harness should look should follow whatever the SOTA models are following, and that is the principle with which we work with, which means that again we have made it very simple standard function calling kind of a harness agentic loop inside our harness, right? And finally, one call is we use our own models, and why this is important is because our models are trained for a bunch of other places also, but specifically also for this harness, and the harness is made for these models, and there's emergent benefits which come out of the self-improving loops of this particular harness, right? So that's the broad idea of architecture. Without pausing a lot, let me just go and actually project how we will go about building a live voice agent, and let's try to actually get to voice agent. Would love to know if people have been able to build one by the end of the call, or at least one small test voice agent by the end of the call. And let me get right into it. So if anybody, let's take like 1 or 2 minutes. If nobody has logged into Indus yet, please go to indus.sarvam.ai and sign up, right? I will quickly, share my screen as well while you folks do that. I hope everyone can see my screen. Give me a second. I'll just verify that. Okay, perfect. Cool. I hope like people have logged into Indus, and I'll give a quick walkthrough of the Indus platform. So Indus is our agentic platform, of which we have a bunch of products that we have launched. Of which one of the products that we have is voice agents. Like, so we have work agents, APIs, content agents, doc agents, coding agents. Do check them out. But what we'll be focusing on today is voice agents, right? We also have so first thing that I actually want to walk through for everyone is actually like workspaces, right? This is like keeping our house in order kind of a things, right? So you can actually go and create a small workspace. So let me just create a fresh workspace here. Just call it demo, right? And this creates a clean slate for me in terms of like the organization. So now inside my organizations, there's demo as a new workspace which has gotten created. We are in the voice agents product. So this is the structure of the voice agents product, right? You can see there's a homepage here. And as I repeated earlier, there's a build, deploy, monitor, right? So you have build as a section, you have deploy as a section, and you have monitor as a section. That's the way the product is also structured, right? We'll go deeper into each of these, but let's just start with creating an agent. And the way that we'll start with creating an agent is with this, right? This is essentially a AI agent which helps you create voice agents. It's called Genie, right? And we'll get into creating this particular agent. I have a prompt ready, right? And what we'll be creating today is a appointment booking agent for a dermatology clinic, right? Which means that This agent is essentially sitting in a workflow where a derma clinic has a website where people have filled out a form. As soon as the user fills out a form and a voice agent calls and it books an appointment for them, it also collects what is the skin issue that they're having and it assures them that the appointment has been booked, right? So we'll start with this particular use case. Let me just copy the prompt. So I have a prompt ready. I said build a derma clinic appointment booking agent, mock the tools. We'll come here as well. User has filled a form on the website and we're making an outbound call. So extremely natural language is how we can define it. We tell the agent that we have the user's name and phone number. This will be relevant. So let's just press enter. So this screen that you can see is called the canvas screen, right? And on the right, you have Genie, which is the agent which is working, right? So explaining the structure of this a little bit. So on the top bar, you have your hierarchy where you are able to see the agent itself. You're able to see the draft versions. You're able to see test agent will come here as well. On the right, you are seeing the Copilot or Genie, right? And in the middle, you are seeing a very, very clean page where we'll be writing the prompts. On the left, you're seeing some options. We'll come there soon. So what should the clinic be called? Let's call it Sarvam Derma Clinic, right? What appointment? General dermatologist consultations, right? So Genie has access to web search. Genie also has access to all the tools inside, all the configurations inside this particular agent, which means that let's say, we go and ask it to create an agent for Mamaearth, right? It will be able to go and search what Mamaearth is all about and be able to create a very good first cut agent, right? For whatever use case we're trying to build, right? So Genie has started working. We'll come here, but in the meanwhile, I will just walk everyone through what are the features which are available on the canvas, right? So first of all, you just start typing in natural language, which means that, let's say I want to say, this is the intro conversation handling, right? And I say step 1 is identity verification. So we just start typing normally, right? Now, let's say, I want to change this particular formatting to something else, right? So it works exactly like Notion where we say, hey, you know what, instead of H1, we make this H2, right? So the formatting options for this canvas are available by pressing \, right? And let's say you want to add some logic inside the prompt, right? We click @. So with @, you'll be able to see variables, you'll be able to see tools. We'll come exactly to what those means, but this is essentially where you're writing the prompt. Okay. Now let's see what exactly the Genie agent has done, and we'll start with tools, right? So what is this agent supposed to do? This agent is actually supposed to call a user. It is supposed to check whether an appointment slot is available for a user during that time. And then it is supposed to book that appointment slot by confirming with the user that appointment slot is present, right? Yeah. So once you are able to, and it is also supposed to check what is the exact issue which the customer is facing or the patient is facing, which needs to be included in this, right? So because you need to do interactions with systems of record outside, right, which means you need to check whether appointment slots are available, and you need to book an appointment slot. We will interact with an external system via tools, and these are the tools which are available. So this check appointment slot is a tool that Genie has created for us, and book appointment slot is another tool that Genie has created for us, which will write the data. So check appointment slot will essentially fetch the data of what appointments are available, what appointment slots are available. Book appointment slot will write to your system of record on what exactly the appointments are available. This happens through APIs, right? Right now, what Genie has done is it has created mock tools, right? If we have to create more such integrations or more such tools, we go to add tool, and we have a tool here called API tool, right? what essentially API tool is able to do, sorry, it just skipped a little bit. Let me just show this again. So what API tool is able to do is it is able to interact with an external system, either fetch data during a conversation or send data during a conversation and get a response, right? That is essentially what the API tool is. I will actually do one thing. I will pause for a second and look at questions because there's a bunch of activity on the chat. Okay, so I think nothing related to tools. So I hope everyone's following me. Please, press thumbs up if you're following me, or please add on the chat if there's any question also. We can maybe take 1 minute to see whether everyone's understood the concept of tools. Awesome. I think everyone's following tools. So we have seen the API tool here. What the agent or the agent builder here has done is, because I don't have derma clinic here, right? We have something we called a mock API, right? So mock API is essentially, is what it has created the tools for, and it will give us a mock response. That is what has been configured. So this is essentially how an API tools looks. There is a tool name, there's a tool description. We tell it when exactly to run. So it can run at the start of a conversation. We can run it at the end of the conversation, or we can set up, directly, and we can set up directly a curl by pasting it here. For now, it is just, giving me some default parameters, regardless of whatever request I'm going to send it. All right. Apart from custom tools, right, we also have system tools. And these system tools are things that you can use in a conversation, which are present in every agent, right? These are again function calling kind of agents. So function calling tools. So if, let's say, I have end interaction as a tool, or knowledge base as a tool, I can query a knowledge base if I have a knowledge base configured. End interaction is used to end the conversation or call at any point of time. So these are the system tools which are also available, right? This is around tools. I'll take questions after I also cover variables, but this is what is variables, right? Now let's understand the concept of variables. In any conversation or in any agent, you will need to get some data and use those inside a conversation to personalize the conversation, right? Any data that you are using to personalize a conversation are input variables. Now, at the end of the call, right, we want to extract some information and put it back into a system of record, right? Any variables which are essentially something that I want to extract as intelligence or extract as data points from the conversation by looking at the transcript are configured in output variables, right? So input variables are used to personalize the conversation. Output variables are used to extract information from the conversation. At the end of the day, both are variables, which means that all these variables can interact within tools, right? But this is essentially, input and output variables that we have, right? Now let's look at how you would configure an input variable. So Genie has, done a bunch of has already configured a bunch of input variables and output variables for us. If you have to create an input variable, you go here, you say user underscore name. You can add a default value, and you can say maybe default value can be Aditya, and you can create a variable. This variable name already exists. So this variable name already exists. So let's create some other variable name. Right. So this has created a variable called dermaco. Now these are default values, but these values can be personalized at the start of a conversation for any agent. We will come to that when we are going to do a campaign, but this is essentially, how you create any variable that you want to go and personalize the conversation with. Now that I have this company name, if I have to go and use it inside my prompt, right? So let's say I actually want to say you are calling on behalf of company name, and I want to keep the company name here. I can go and click on @. I will see this list here. I will go and click on variable, and the company name comes here. I will start referencing this variable, right? So what goes to the LLM here is you are calling on behalf of Dermaco. And if you're personalizing this and you're calling it Dermaco 2 instead of Dermaco, it will, the name that passes to the LLM is Dermaco 2, right? So this is how you're personalizing the variables and how you use it inside the prompt. The second part is on output variables, right? So output variables are, essentially information that you want to extract from the conversation. So let's look at, the output variable called call disposition, which Genie has configured for us. And let's go through exactly what it has done, right? So it has created a variable called call disposition. It has made the data type enum, which means that it will choose from a list of enum values that I have given it. The enum values that I've given it are appointment book, callback requested, no slots, declined, wrong person, etc. Right? And it has written an extraction prompt, right? This extraction prompt passes to the LLM at the end of the conversation, right? So what exactly happens here is that the transcript along with the extraction prompts and all of these variables which are listed here is what goes to the LLM at the end of the call, and it extracts certain information basis how the conversation has gone, right? So let's say an appointment actually got booked, right? The value that will, or the output that will come out is going to be appointment booked, right? So that's the idea. This is a example of an enum output variable. You could also have a string output variable where I go and say, hey, you know what? I want a variable called call summary, which is a string data type and a short 1 to 2 line description on what happened in the call. So all of this goes to the LLM. It is able to extract the information from the call and it is able to make it a summary. This is what is output variables. And one interesting feature that we have here is something we are calling goals. So here the agent has actually set up a goal, but I'll show you what does it mean to set up a goal, right? So when does a call count as a win is essentially, what a goal is. And you can say, hey, the call counts as a win when call disposition is actually at appointment booked. And what this helps you with is something that comes in the monitor section where it will tell you what are the insights of the calls or what are the statistics of the calls where goal got achieved versus it did not get achieved. And that is going to give you insights on how do you get the goal achieved even better, right? So that is on variables. I'll again pause here for a minute and look at chat for any questions, maybe 2 to 3 questions before I move on to settings, right? How do we let's go. Okay, demo prompt is here. So how do we pass variables dynamically? Example, calling user customer names for personalizations for real estate calls. Okay, yeah, Ekansh has actually responded. Oh, I think the team is also already responding to a bunch of queries on the chat. Okay, awesome. So maybe I'll just keep on moving, right? So now we actually come to settings, and here is where a bunch of the configuration of what the voice agent is actually come. And here also we structure it in a form of listening, thinking, speaking, and then there are language settings, right? So we'll come to what are these configurations. So in speaking, we have voice. We have a bunch of choices of voice, a bunch of male voices, bunch of female voices, around 35, right? This is all powered by Bulbul V3, right? So all of the voices are Bulbul V3, and very Indian voice actors and voice actors have actually voiced these voices. So they have been trained on a lot of, very vernacular kind of data. Right, you can set up speaking speed. Generally, a speaking speed of around 1.15x works well with all kinds of speakers. You can also set the pitch, so you can make the speaker a little bit higher or a little bit lower than what you would want them, depending upon the use case. We have pronunciation dictionary. This is a little bit of an advanced feature, so we'll come back to this at probably the end. And here is where you can do a bunch of configurations on the model. So, for example, the LLM model and the knowledge base is what you can control here. So with respect to LLM model, if you want it to be a little more compliant, right, you can reduce the temperature, right? If you want it to be a little bit more creative, you can increase the temperature, right? So that's the model temperature is something that you can control. And you can also go and set up a knowledge base, right? So right now I don't have a knowledge base setup. I will show you this option also. But you can go and create a knowledge base, upload any PDF document, Word document, PowerPoint, etc. Give it a document description, and the agent will have access to all the knowledge inside that document. Fairly simple to understand, right? And here is where some of the more advanced configurations on speech recognition come up, where essentially we say let callers, whether you want to let the callers interrupt or not, right? So here essentially you can set whether you want them to interrupt or not, and you can also set the eagerness, right? So you lower is more eager, so it will respond a little bit faster, right? It will not wait for the user. It will not listen to the user that much. But if you wanted to listen to the user and be a more patient agent, right, you will increase this particular value where the eagerness actually reduces as you keep it going along, right? Similarly, depending upon how noisy your background is, you can set what is the level of interruptions at which you want, because sometimes when you switch on interruptions and you're operating in a very noisy country like India, like these go and mess with the interruptions themselves. One more interesting feature is you can set environment, which means that you can actually add background noise to your voice agents, which is, so you can set, for example, a quiet office kind of a background sound, and you can increase or decrease the background noise so that it feels like, the agent is actually talking from a contact center. Because sometimes, voice agents, the background is very, very, silent. It is a little bit uncanny for, end customers, and they're able to realize that this is a voice agent, right? And over and above that, you have language personalization. So I think I saw a chat, saw a question in the chat saying, ki, hey, is language switch during the call something that is doable? Yes, we can language switch during the call, and by when the user is automatically speaking. So I have an option to actually switch language during the call or not switch language, and set initial languages and personalize that. You also have a way to auto detect the language switch, which means if I start speaking in Telugu instead of Hindi immediately, like in the middle of a call, it is able to switch to that. Right? We also have a option of nudges and setting up voicemail. So you, in real life, you will encounter a bunch of issues that you will encounter voicemail on call. You will probably have mischievous people who will put you on hold, and the agent is never ending that particular call, right? There might be people who are just silent and listening to this call, and so you have handling of all of those, where you have a way to nudge the quiet callers and say, hey, if I'm silent for 15 seconds or even after 7 seconds, if I wanted to respond, I will come and say, okay, hey, are you still there? I just want to check with you on a dermatologist appointment, right? You can also hang up after the unanswered nudges, which means that if the user has not responded even after these unanswered nudges, you can actually hang up the call so that you're not wasting your minutes, right? If you reach a voicemail, you can actually leave a voicemail as well, right? And typically what we have also been able to do is we have made a sidecar harness, which is able to detect voicemail and on hold really well, right? Which means that if mischievous folks actually try to put you on hold during the call, right, we will actually cut the call and not let it burn through your minutes. So these are all something that is available out of the box on the platform without any additional price. Like all of the interruption handling, language switching, background noise options, everything is already baked into the platform in settings. There are some configurations which are available, but we would recommend the default configurations work actually pretty well for most of the use cases, unless your use case is actually very, very different and it is really not working out for you. And again, something that you can start immediately out of the box without any without any build effort, right? I will actually go and switch to agent which we have created for this purpose a little bit. So this agent, I think I'll just quickly walk through. So this is a slightly more mature version of the agent where we have a bunch more variables which have been configured. So you've seen that I have configured business hours here. There's a clinic area, the name of the clinic, right? Everything which is configured here. Tools are also configured. So instead of just 2 tools, I actually have 6 tools configured here, right? And inside my variables, you can go and look at the output variables which are configured here, which is call disposition, call summary, and visit reason, right? So actually, let's test this agent out. I need just one help from you folks. Please, I will try to test this with by voice. Please let me know if you can hear the sound.
Namaste Sakshi, मैं Radiant Skin.
Could you folks hear that? Okay, perfect. Okay, so let's test this out, right?
नमस्ते साक्षी, मैं रेडियंट स्किन डर्मेटोलॉजी क्लिनिक से आरती बोल रही हूँ। क्या अभी बात करने का सही समय है?
हाँ जी, बोलिए।
धन्यवाद। आपने डर्मेटोलॉजी कंसल्टेशन के लिए रिक्वेस्ट की थी, तो मैं उसी के बारे में बात करने के लिए कॉल किया है। क्या आप अभी भी अपॉइंटमेंट बुक करना चाहती हैं?
हाँ जी, अपॉइंटमेंट का क्या-क्या टाइम्स अवेलेबल है?
जरूर, मैं चेक कर लेती हूँ। वैसे क्या आप बता सकती हैं कि आपको स्किन से जुड़ी क्या परेशानी है? इससे क्लिनिक को आपकी विजिट के लिए तैयारी करने में हेल्प मिलेगी।
एक्चुअली मेरे को एक बड़ा सा पिंपल हो गया फेस पे।
अच्छा, मैं समझ सकती हूँ। चलिए, मैं आपके लिए अवेलेबल स्लॉट्स चेक करती हूँ। बस 1 सेकंड दीजिए।
हाँ, चेक कर लीजिए।
मेरे पास कल के लिए सुबह 10 बजे, 11:30 बजे और दोपहर 3 बजे के स्लॉट्स अवेलेबल है। इनमें से कौन सा टाइम आपके लिए सही रहेगा?
कल सुबह 10 बजे का कर दें?
ठीक है, तो कल सुबह 10 बजे का डर्मेटोलॉजी कंसल्टेशन बुक कर दो। एक बार कंफर्म कर दीजिए।
हाँ जी, कर दीजिए।
आपका अपॉइंटमेंट बुक हो गया है। यह कल सुबह 10 बजे का है और इसकी ड्यूरेशन 30 मिनट्स रहेगी। क्लिनिक का एड्रेस है 80 फीट रोड, कोरमंगला 4th ब्लॉक, बेंगलुरु 560034। मेरी एक रिक्वेस्ट है कि आप 10 मिनट पहले पहुंच जाइएगा और विजिट से पहले ट्रीटमेंट एरिया पर कोई मेकअप या क्रीम मत लगाइएगा। इसकी फीस 700 से 1800 रुपए के बीच होगी, जो आप रिसेप्शन पर यूपीआई कार्ड या कैश से पे कर सकती है। क्या मैं आपकी और कोई हेल्प कर सकती हूँ?
नहीं, थैंक यू सो मच।
आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद साक्षी जी। अपना ख्याल रखिएगा। बाय।
Yeah. So if let's actually look at this conversation, right? So this is essentially, this is what we are called the test agent or the playground option. And here I've actually showed you folks way to do it on the website. So you can see that there's a conversation that I was having, but then the LLM did a tool call. You can actually see what is the response of the tool call right here in Playground itself. Then you can see when it is doing another book appointment tool call, when I have asked it to actually book the appointment for that slot, and you can see the params and the response that is coming from there. And finally, once I say, Acha, thank you so much, let's look at what the LLM has extracted. So LLM has extracted, okay, the call disposition is booked, which is accurate. Call summary, bot contacted Sakshi regarding her dermatology consultation. She scheduled an appointment for tomorrow at 10 a.m. So that is also done. And visit reason is that there's a large pimple on the face. So yeah, so this is basically it has extracted the output quite accurately. And you can go and look at other chat histories that you have done here also. But I'll just give you a quick tour of how you go and test this agent really well. So let's say I want to do a new chat, right? I can test it with the voice mode that I have right now. I can go and override some of the variables that I want to also. So for example, instead of I don't want it to talk to Sakshi, I wanted to talk to Aditya, right? Let's try this out.
नमस्ते आदित्य, मैं रेडियंट स्किन डर्मेटोलॉजी क्लिनिक से आरती बोल रही हूँ। क्या अभी बात करने का सही समय है?
हाँ जी, बोलिए।
धन्यवाद। आपने डर्मेटोलॉजी कंसल्टेशन के लिए रिक्वेस्ट की थी, तो मैं आपकी अपॉइंटमेंट बुक करने में हेल्प करूंगी। वैसे क्या आप बता सकते हैं कि आपको स्किन से जुड़ी क्या परेशानी हो रही है?
मेरे को फेस पे बड़ा सा पिंपल हो गया है।
अच्छा, मैं समझ सकती हूँ।
So again, I think just cut the call for demonstration, but essentially you can go and configure a bunch of variables. You can change the speaker here as well. So it makes it very easy for you to test the agent, right? So typically you don't get a one-shot agent really well even with Genie because AI doesn't have taste, right? So you have to keep on testing the agent multiple times and then go and iterate on the agent with respect to the canvas. So the idea is that you're able to get everything that you need from a agent on the test here itself, right? Where you're able to see what tool calls it is doing, where you're able to see, if I have to change my speaker, let's make it sound, how does it sound if it will sound like if it's a male voice, how will it sound if it's actually in Bengali, right? All of that is something that I can go and override with here and change the variables here as well. So you will be able to understand how this performs. It's not just voice, you can also actually get a phone number, right? So typically, how the agent will sound here versus how the agent will sound on a telephone is going to be extremely different, right? With personal experience. So you can go and say, okay, I'm gonna add a number here. Let's say I add my number here. It will verify it because it's going actually from my phone number because we don't have a phone number yet. And, I'll receive the OTP and then it gets started. I'll just skip the logistics of this. And instead of, always talking to the agent because it's a little bit exhausting, you can go and type to the agent as well. Hanji, boliye, right? And you can test the LLM out here as well. So you have all options of being able to, look at, test this. You can also go and look at the conversation history. So let's say I want to go and look at what exactly I did here, what exactly I did here. You can actually go and look at a bunch of these conversations and refer back to, what you actually tested and how it performed previously, so that it makes the testing experience very easy for you. One last thing I want to cover before I actually move to phone numbers, because someone had a question about that also, is tests. So you can actually ask Genie to, write tests for this agent, right? And you can simulate a bunch of users, right? And user scenarios in production that you will encounter. So here I actually have some test configured for this agent where I say, hey, for a standard smooth appointment booking, what are the expected behaviors? The expected behavior is that agent verifies the user identity at the beginning of the call. Agent asks and acknowledges the user for a visit. Agent successfully retrieves and offers appointment slots, and agent informs the necessary preparation steps, right? So this is something the agent has also authored for me. I can go and add an expected behavior saying it should always call the book appointment tool, right? So, and I can do this, I can run this test then, right? So I can run this test one time, I can run this test two times, I can see how well the agent is performing. So let's say I name this run test run. This will take a little bit of time. So I just want to, show a run that I've already done here. So this is how you see, and a user actually gets simulated here. So you can see the transcript. So, agent says namaste, and the simulated user says, hello, yes, this is Sakshi speaking. Actually, I was looking for a consultation for my skin. Basically, I need to see doctor for dermatology. So you can see that the agent has handled the conversation. It's done a check appointment tool, a book appointment tool, and it has ended the conversation, right? And you can see that it has flagged where the conversation has actually gone right. And in this particular conversation, everything has gone right? So let's look at a case where things have gone wrong, right? So here, expected behavior is essentially saying so the test essentially here was that the expected behavior is the agent has to go and confirm to the agent saying to the user saying 11:30 is the time that I want a call back at, right? But in this transcript, what the agent has done is, कोई बात नहीं, मैं समझ सकती हूँ, आप बस ये बता दीजिए आपको कब दोबारा कॉल करें. User said 11:30, agent did not confirm. So we have detected that the callback arrangement which was supposed to happen, or the callback instruction which is supposed to happen, it has not happened. So which means that we know that the callback prompt is the part of the agent that I actually want to go and fix, right? So this is the building of agent, right? I'll quickly actually run through, the other two parts also, like how you deploy an agent, and maybe we can take a poll on how many people were able to follow and create an agent. So let me just go back here to this workspace, which is a clean workspace, and show you how easy it is to get a phone number on Sarvam. And this is one thing that we observed, making an agent is easy, but getting the entire telephony wiring and everything around it is like a huge amount of pain, right? So what we have done is we have partnered with a telephony provider, Wobis, where we are able to do a KYC for even an individual or a business. So in this case, I will just show individual. I just need my PAN number and my Aadhaar number, and let me start my KYC. I will have to. So just to show you folks the entire screen here. This is what I'm seeing on my screen. I will stop sharing so that I'm able to enter some of my PII without it getting shared. But yeah. So I have, just to show you folks, I have received a OTP. I will just enter it. Oops. Okay, seems like some downtime at Aadhaar end. Uh, Let me just show you. So what exactly happens is that it creates an account for you, and you get something like this, right? Uh, you get something like this where you're just able to go here, and you have 079 numbers and 080 numbers. You just click on whatever number that you want, and you say buy this number, and then you can import a number immediately, right? So it usually takes 2 minutes. Unfortunately, I think there's some OTP magic which has happened, which I could not show you how to create the account, but it usually takes 2 minutes, right? So that was the last step that I was showing you. It opens up this page, and you can just go and buy a number and import it directly, right? I will also quickly cover how you would do an outbound campaign. So let's say I want to use this particular agent to create an outbound campaign, right? I will say test webinar campaign. I will select this agent, select V6 of this agent, connection, get a phone number. Now what it asks for next is a cohort file. I will upload a cohort file that I have. So here I can actually see what is the fields that I need to map. So I map the phone number, and I actually want to also map the username. So I will map the username, and I think there might be a service type also. Okay, service type. So these are the three things that I add, and you can see like as soon as I update the mapping of the file, I can actually see the preview as well, right? I can also cycle through a few rows to see whether the import has happened properly or not, right? So this is what I can do. Now I go and validate this, and if I have an issue which comes up, I know that in this particular cohort file, I know that there are a few invalid rows, right? So I actually get a file which throws an error for me as well. I go here, I set up my configuration. So let's say I want to start immediately, which means I will start in 2 minutes. And today I want it to end. I set some CPS, I set some call allowed time, right? And some retries, right? And you can set up a retry on when it is busy. You can set up when it is not unanswered, when it is failed, right? And you can also set up a webhook URL for a webhook that you have configured where you want to receive data, right? Once you do that, you can actually go and review this, and you can test dial a few people. Again, I think here the numbers that you already saved on Playground, you can actually place a few test calls to those. You can add a few more numbers here as well, and then you click on launch. So once you launch, you can see the status here. It says it starts in 2 minutes, and cohort has been uploaded, and it will start calling these people with with those particular retries. It is as simple as that. I will actually go ahead and cancel this campaign so that my colleagues don't receive very, very confusing calls. I will also cover very quickly the APIs that we have, which means that the campaigns that you saw, outbound campaigns here, everything of all of those are available via API. You also have something we're calling an instant outbound API, which means that if you want to just make one call and build a harness or a journey around that, you can do that as well. If you want to do an inbound deployment, that is also something that is available via APIs, right? So this is a API, essentially a API documentation page, but we also here have recipes and guides which are best practices of how do you use our APIs to orchestrate voice agents for common use cases. One very interesting thing that we have launched very recently is a collaboration with MoEngage, where, for example, we have built you can put a Sarvam voice agent inside a MoEngage journey. So if you're using MoEngage already inside your marketing comms for sending a WhatsApp message, for sending notifications and building user journeys and workflows on top of it, your Sarvam voice agent can become a node in your journey. So for example, if you're doing cart recovery, you can maybe send, within 10 minutes a WhatsApp message, within 25 minutes an SMS, within 1 minute maybe a push notification. And then after that, if nothing works, you can actually go and send a Sarvam voice agent and ask the user, ki, hey, what went wrong? Do you have this offer? And do you want to take this offer? And that kind of stuff, right? So that is something that is, possible with Sarvam. Very quickly also going to move through agent analytics. So in fact, I'll show you in a slightly different org where we actually have a bunch of campaigns which have been created so that you get the entire power of, what we have built out. So this is, one of our orgs, and you can see it's a fairly clean view of being able to understand what agents are working, how much volume they've been doing, what is the connectivity rate, how many unique connects and unique attempts are there, right? You can, and the way this is arranged is essentially a journey of a call, right? So you have first connectivity, then you see how much engagement has happened, then you see whether goal is achieved or not, whether tools are called inside the conversation or not. And then you have, some cuts that we're calling group by and call logs as well. Here also, you can actually go and see that. So you click on this, you can see what is the connected calls. You click on this, you can see the latency profile. You can see the call durations. You can see minutes. You can see how many were short call percentages, etc. Right? So this is one way of us being able to say, hey, we have built a dashboard for you. This is the part that I was talking about where, setting a goal is actually going to help you understand what is the success criteria and what is good versus what is bad. I will also very quickly show you custom boards, right? So this is a way that we have created a dashboard, but if you want to create a dashboard either for your end customers consumption or for your own internal consumption, right? You will have almost an entire, dashboarding software available for you. So let's say I want to, this is a custom board that I have created that is already created for you. Now, if I go and want to add a different kind of a, widget to this particular board, I can go and look at the schema. So I can either write this query myself, but I honestly don't know, even I don't know how to write this query. So you know what, I'll just ask AI, I will say, hey, can you give me a chart which plots the number of minutes I have done over the last 2 weeks? Only, actually, let's just do that, right? I will say generate. It starts writing my query. It wrote my query. I go and accept it, and then it runs. I see a table. If I want a line chart, I will put a line chart, and I can, this is perfect. Okay, I love this widget. I go and save this widget, and I got a untitled widget here. Let me just extend this. Just extend this and call it weekly minutes. So yeah, that's how the boards work. You can make extremely complex queries also out of it. I'll actually just stop here because I think we are over time a little bit also. Last 2 minutes I want to actually cover to show you folks the surprise that we had. I would have loved to go into the agent development lifecycle also, but I don't think we have the time for that. So yeah, so basically I just want to tell you guys about pricing. So above 5 lakh minutes, we have custom pricing. At scale, we have 3.5 rupees per minute where it starts, and for business tier, we have 4 rupees per minute. Essentially, you have to subscribe to a tier, you will get a bunch of bonus credits with that. Plus so if you subscribe to a 10,000 rupees tier, you'll get 12,000 rupees worth of credits, and your usage will be billed at 4 rupees per minute. If you're on a scale plan, you'll have to, buy 50,000, you'll have to subscribe to the 50,000 rupees plan, and you'll get it at 3.5 rupees per minute, which means that at the scale plan, we have 3.5 per minute as a public pricing. But if you have, more than, in fact, 3 to 4 lakh minutes as well, there is, a custom pricing that we can do for you. And for everyone in this webinar, there's good news. We have 500 free credits that you're going to get if you're attending this via Zoom, right? And anyone who is registered to the webinar with the email ID. So please ensure that you go and log in with the email IDs. You'll get, these credits in your organization by hopefully end of day or by weekend. It's not over. We also have another offer for you. If you add credits to Sarvam by 6:30 p.m. today, you will get double of whatever you are going to add. So let's say you add credits worth rupees 10,000, right? You will get 10,000 rupees worth of credits automatically. So you buy 10,000 rupees worth of credits, but we will add 10,000 rupees worth of credits for any webinar attendee who is going to add credits to their account today. So that's it from me. I will take questions. Lots and lots of questions are there. I don't think I can follow the chat. So if everyone is able to see the Q&A section, I will just try to answer the questions inside the Q&A sections. I am building a voice agent using SDK. Not sure whether to use Claude or Sarvam as LLM layer to ensure real-time voice conversations. If you're building your own layer, we would recommend using Sarvam 105B which is available on our APIs with the non-think mode for conversations. It is very well fine-tuned for that. There is going to be a version of the 105B module called 105B conversation. So that is the one that you'll need to use, right? Is it possible to include more than one agent in a single conversation? That is user plus two agents. Each agent is fully independent. So typically, no, this is not something that we have out of the box. But generally, the architecture for this is agents and sub-agents architecture. We'll be launching, something very cool around that very, very soon. Recording, hopefully, yes. The Sarvam give internships and jobs for freshers. Please apply and look at our Sarvam portal. Can you show how to get call metadata, like caller number and call disposition for the inbound calls? Good question. So let me just show you how it will appear in the monitor section. So you go to call logs, you will be able to see, sorry, give me 1 second. Let me just select all agents. So if you go to call logs, you will be able to see, you guys can see my screen, huh? You'll be able to see phone numbers, you can see end reason, you can see contact numbers, etc. For all connected calls. If you want like the connectivity status as well, and you can just select all and you can see everything here. However, what would be most relevant for you and the best way to do this, I would suggest would be via APIs, right? So you have all your data fetch APIs here, which is essentially, being able to list interactions, being able to list attempts, being able to get transcripts. So we have a bunch of data fetch APIs here, which will help you, fetch data from our system programmatically. If you are running campaigns, right, we have a way to actually go and configure a webhook inside these APIs as well, which will automatically send you data for every attempt that I'm doing, right? Which means if the call is connected or not connected, you will receive all the data, right? Okay. For data fetch, okay. Another question, the customer said I need to speak to a supervisor and I need a human in the loop transfer. If you saw, there's a sneak peek for a call forwarding tool. We'll be launching that call forwarding tool soon, so please look out for it on the platform. But essentially that will mean that we can do human in the loop transfer. So what that will do is essentially we'll call a tool and a person at the end can pick up. I gave an instruction to the agent to read a API tool response, but it is not parsing the response and answering to the user. I need to save all the response and variables to answer for this. So I think actually let me just present that slide if I have it. But my email ID, please write down. I think for any questions or support, such support, I think we'll need to go a little bit deeper. So please write to developer@sarvam.ai. We'll respond on that particular thread if you face any support queries. Regardless of that, my personal email ID is aditya@sarvam.ai, but do try to drop them email there also. I can investigate it, but not making any promises. Please do mail to developer@sarvam.ai for any support queries. Right? Can we do call transferring to human? I think we have answered this. Wouldn't this architecture be a bit slow to respond, or are you using some streaming input pipeline to make it faster? Is there a white paper for the same? Okay, very good question. So I will just cover, what we have done for latency. So we have done some very interesting optimizations. So because we run our models entirely end to end in the same data center, right? All our hardware, including our CPU hardware, is also in the same data center. So it works beautifully for like real-time latency use cases, right? Our LLMs and TTS and ASR models are also much more smaller than what you would consider, a chat GPT or a Claude or any one SOTA model, right? So these take a lot of time to respond because they have think tokens and everything as well. We have trained the LLM to perform really well in non-think mode on both and make it very reliable for such conversations, right? So for example, if you take this model and you try to do a coding agent out of it, will not work really well, right? But for voice, you don't need a lot of thinking. You need to be able to do tool calls. You need to be able to respond conversationally. You need short sentences, right? So what our LLM is trained and fine-tuned on data, which is, conversational, which is perfect for voice agents, which means tool calling, conversational responses in the in a very short amount of time with very small sentences, right? Which a decently small model can perform really well if we have given it really high quality data, and that is what we have done, right? Which means that the small model gives you better latencies, it is less costly, and then you can orchestrate it inside. And because we are orchestrating inside a single data center, we get the benefits of those small, 50 to 100, 50 to 200 milliseconds difference because of that particular architecture. So yeah, that's what we have done. We have also done a bunch of optimizations in the middle also, but I think those are way too deep for us to go into in this particular session. So many calls are failing when running campaign with no failure reason. Apurva, please do write to support. I think we'll definitely respond to this. If you're facing any issues, I think we'll just let you know what exactly is going on here. My hunch is essentially that no failure reason comes when the connectivity does not happen, so user is not picking up the call. But we'll have to go a little bit deeper there. Web latency is good so far. What about the end-to-end latency for a real-world call? So yes, we run huge amounts of scale, and we deliver the same latency. So it's using the same production calls. So right now, my production calls are actually happening, right? Tens of thousands of concurrent calls are going on right now. What you heard, the web call latency is also part of those concurrent calls. So it's not like it's using different infra or the same. It's using the same infra, which means that the latencies will remain whatever you actually heard on the text call. Right? What about building session Genie? Does this consume credits? No, it does not. It's free. You can completely use it. We only charge for usage, right? I think if there's any more critical questions, I can take them on chat. When building a custom pipeline using Sarvam stacks, the latency is higher than that of agents platform. Fair enough. I think the benefits of us being able to co-locate a bunch of models and the harness that we have built is what we get with this. How can I get the addition credits on 10K purchase? I think what we'll do is we'll just see whoever is part of this webinar with these email IDs who have added certain credits to their org, and we will be adding credits to those orgs by the weekend. We have a lot of tools made for text-based agents via Google ADK. How do you merge that sort of capability here? Okay, perfect. So anything that you can abstract behind an API, right, is something that you can integrate inside an API tool, right? That said, if you're using Google ADK, that means that the tool itself might take 10, 15 seconds. The limit to how much the tool can handle on voice agents platform is 30 seconds. In fact, we would recommend that the tool timeouts needs to be like 3 to 5 seconds. That is something that you can set on platform as well. But essentially, we would highly recommend that you don't use like extremely like high latency think kind of tools. If you have small, low latency tools that can be abstracted behind API. So if you're able to expose your workflow via an API, this agent can completely handle that. Ask the user for the mobile number and this fails to recognize the digit correctly. Okay, this is a good question. So Jaideep has asked, hey, when I ask the user for the mobile number, users AI fails to recognize it. So there's two ways to solve this. One is that if you're getting it as an inbound phone number, we will give you the mobile number itself, so you don't need to collect it on the conversation. But if it is not a telephony conversation, if it is on a web or if it is somewhere else where you need to collect a phone number, the hack is usually to prompt the agent a little bit to get the entire phone number. So it keeps on asking the user to confirm, hey, is this the phone number, till it gets it right? And there is also a tool called the data validation tool. So let me quickly show that as well. So typically we see this use case where, a certain amount of regex, etc., it's not able to do really well. So what we have added to the platform is something we're calling this data validation tool. So let's go here and so you can see data validator. So check a values format, right? So essentially, if I want to go and select saying I want to validate this phone number, whether this is a good phone number, LLM needs to understand whether this is a valid phone number. It verifies whether the phone number I have collected is the right phone number, right? Let me just add some description. And here, essentially, you can go and put a value type of string where you can add a regex, right? So I don't exactly know the regex pattern for a phone number, but essentially, I think this should be the pattern if I'm not wrong. So if it has 10 digits, right, then it will say, okay, I have a valid phone number, and the LLM is able to handle it. Right. Then second question is, format is fine. I have 10 digits, but is it correct? So then you can go and repeat it to the end customer. And then the customer says, okay, confirm, then it will be able to handle it really well. That's where voice agents also fail a little bit today. But just by confirming it once or twice using the LLM and prompting it to do so actually makes it really, really good. Right? Okay. I think could you please put a temporary link on some website? I mean, we are fast, but we're not that fast. If you can just share your org email, maybe here, we can probably take a look and get that done. Is it always going to be API based, or you're thinking on-prem host license? Yes, for extremely large enterprise deals, we also do on-prem. Why can't Sarvam directly sell it to SME too? Again, I think we do have, this is more on business strategy, so I'll cover it. But again, like we're still figuring it out ourselves. We don't want to, again, I don't think we have the bandwidth to go and sell, SME to SMEs really, really fast. So we do want like partners and agencies, etc., to work with us to distill and distribute this technology. Okay. Okay, I think we are at time. We are at 5:10. Any last questions on chat? I can just take. Okay, I see Jaideep has responded that you have already added some confirmation. So if you can just, if it's misinterpreting the digits, if it is misinterpreting the digits of the phone number, maybe what you can add is some form of a, so Jaideep, maybe let's connect again on support. We will respond on exactly what is your use case and maybe we can figure out how to prompt it. When is Bulbul V4 coming out? Very, very soon, right? I need your full agent share. Okay, we can figure out if we can do that. Any expiry for the credits? All credits have, I think, 1 year expiry. If I'm not wrong, I can check, but I think 1 year expiry for all credits that you buy. Okay, I think that's it. Saras V4 is on API is live. Saras V4 on it's voice agents will be live very very soon again. Okay, awesome. I think that's about it from my side. Ansh, if we can, if you have any closing thoughts or record or anything that you want to add, or otherwise maybe you can close.
All good. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much everyone for attending. Do go and add credits. Do go and try out the platform. And if you have any business queries, any support queries, for support queries, please reach out to developer@sarvam.ai. For business queries, please reach out on. Please either try to go. We are also looking at the funnel, so we are also calling a bunch of people and taking a bunch of feedback. So this is, while we have run this on production a lot, right? The UX that we have put out there is new. It might have bugs. Do give us feedback on developer@sarvam.ai. And if you have business inquiries, business queries, anything to do with plans, anything to do with credits, or if you want an enterprise deal, please write on the contact us page on the website, and we will reach out to you. But you can obviously always go and start to use the platform directly out of the box. Right? Okay, thanks everyone.